Well, we met at SRP, which is where we work. He was a rotating engineer in my department. Started just as friends.
When I first met her, it was at SRP. She had, I don't exactly remember. One day, just some mysterious girl came into this cube, and she hadn't talked for a while. So I walked up and started talking to her because she didn't talk to anyone else. She stayed to herself. I felt a little bit bad for her because I was like, I seen her, but I never talked to her. No one else talked to her. She was just there.
He antagonized me a lot at my cubicle. He would shine laser pointers in my cube all day, every day. Would drive me nuts. He had this thing for a while where he would put celebrity pictures in my cube. It started off as a joke because we had a rock star day and I didn't have a rock star shirt on, so he gave me this picture of Justin Bieber to hold up during our team picture. And I put that back on his desk, and that went back and forth between his and my desk for a while. And then every day he started putting that picture and then one or two more on my desk. And it eventually got to the point where I got in one morning and my cube was covered top to the bottom, all over my computer screens, just a whole bunch of random celebrity pictures. And one in particular, there was one weird one on my screen, so I took that off, and underneath it was a picture of Thor, who he knows I am totally infatuated with. So that was probably one of the biggest cubicle memories I can think of.
I invited her to lunch one day, and I couldn't tell you where we went, and from there we just became, I guess, work friends. And every day we go to lunch, we had a great conversation. We would always, I guess I was looking forward to that time of my day. For when I worked in this department, it was just, I couldn't wait for lunch, and we always had good times.
Yeah, never thought in a million years we would date. Then all of a sudden one day I just decided I really liked him. Didn't know why. So I came up with some elaborate plan to make the first move. I asked him if he wanted to go get ice cream, and he said sure. And we got in his truck after work, and we went and drove to an ice cream place, and I had no intention to get ice cream. I just thought I was going to try to kiss him. So I'm in his truck, and he has this middle console that was dividing us, and I was sitting there talking to him, but at the same time trying to think, how am I going to lift this console up so that I can make the first move? So we get to the ice cream place, and I'm trying to stall, but he finally looks at me all weird, and he says, are we going to go get ice cream? And I said, sure. So we went and got the ice cream that I never intended to get. So when we were done eating, we go back to his truck, and that middle console was still there, but I didn't want to go back to work yet. I wanted to still make my first move. So I told him I wanted some gum. So he pulls into a gas station to get me some gum, and he looks at me and says, aren't you going to go inside and get the gum? And I try to lift up the middle console, and I realized his golf clubs were holding it down, so I was making an idiot of myself, lifting up this middle console. And he asked me, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know. So I ran inside and got the gum, and then we got back to work, and I was stalling, and he says, aren't you going to go home? And I said, do you want to make out? And he looks at me for a minute and he says, won't that make things awkward at work?
We both started with no intentions of ever being dating. We both knew that it wouldn't work. I guess we thought it wouldn't work,
But the next day we ended up going to the mall together, and he just totally flirted with me. We actually consider that kind of our first date. And while at the mall, he took me into a jewelry store, and the girl asked if she could help with anything, and he says, yes, we're going to have her try on some rings.
I just remember we did the Groupon thing for a while, so I had picked up a Groupon to go on a Segway because I thought it'd be fun. And
one day he did just pick me up in the morning, totally surprised me, and we drive up to Tempe Town Lake, and there are Segways waiting.
And I guess what made it the most interesting was that she was so fair game to it. She was excited to do it. She didn't think Segway, that sounds silly, I'm an adult.
that one was definitely a fun one. Those things are so cool. Like, I didn't know how easy it would be to just maneuver. We thought there were going to be little switches and gadgets and buttons to move them, but no, it's all just with your weight. And yeah, that's fun.
We rode around, and I was around Tempe Town Lake, and it was just fun just to goof around with her on those things and be daredevils. And how can you be daredevils on a Segway, though? We just messed around on it.
He's just always been really romantic with lots of unique random dates.
We've done random Groupon dates like that are just fun to see her enthusiasm and just her, as silly as they are, she has fun with them, our time that we spend together.
I love that he can always make me laugh. Gets frustrating when I'm trying to be mad at him and he just won't let me. That's what I love most about him. He's always makes me happy, and even the little quirks in the relationship that drive me crazy just mean nothing compared to the way he makes me feel.
The thing I admire most about Rachel is just her optimistic. Some people would coin me as a pessimist. I sometimes say realist, but she helps me find the silver lining in a lot of things, and just to don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. It's just finding the good parts of life, the thrill of it, and she's just waiting for the next day. Like I said about the Segway tours and all those dates that we always have. She's just waiting for the next adventure, and she keeps me more positive and smiling, and she always wants to smile, and she hates to see me not smile. She wants to see everyone happy.
I knew that he was the one probably way before he did. I have been through several relationships, and in all my relationships it was always a relationship, and with him, right off the bat, he was just a friend. I could talk to him about anything. Everything was always easy. Just being with him was always fun. And it never really felt like work. So.
I had a struggle with, Rachel, and if she was the one. But then one day I was watching The Office, and I saw Pam and, what is his name? Pam and Jim. Their relationship, how they were always just goofing off with each other, how they were always, having fun with each other and messing with other people. And I was sitting there watching it by myself, and I was just like, I wish I could find my Pam. And then I just thought, I'm like, I have it already. It's Rachel. We have amazing times together, and she gets my personality. Most people would I say something silly and they just write it off, but she kind of goes with it, and she helps with my partner in crime type of things, where I say something ridiculous and she'll adds on to it, and we just have a snowball of fun.
Before I say how he proposed, I must say that I thought he was going to propose on several dates before he actually did propose, because he took me on horseback riding dates and hot air balloon rides, to the point where even my friends would be like, "Where's the ring?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have one yet."
The way I proposed to Rachel was kind of indicative of how our relationship is, where I'm the goofball, and she, for some reason, she's able to put up with me. And I had this whole day planned, from basically waking up to getting home.
But the morning he did propose, we went out on a helicopter ride of the city, and part of me was wondering, but part of me was thinking, maybe this is just one of his normal elaborate dates that are really nice.
I took her out to dinner or breakfast, and we had a decent breakfast, and we went on a helicopter ride, because that's one of the things that we had done at our time in SRP, was we had a helicopter ride together. And
we got off of that helicopter, and we're walking out towards a parking lot, and he stops and he holds me and he tells me how amazing I am and everything a girl wants to hear. And then he pulls out the ring box, and I got so excited. My heart was pounding so fast, and he opens it.
And I asked her, would you like a mint?
And it was filled with Altoids. So
She hit me for like the next 5 minutes and all the way to my truck, and
he probably got a sore arm after that from me hitting him.
I had a good kick out of it. That's just what we do.
But then we went to a spa, and he walked me up there. I didn't know where we were going at that point, but as we're walking up, he stops and he just looks deeply in my eyes, and
I get down on my knee and start tying my shoe.
And starts tying his shoe.
We were up in North Scottsdale, so I drove her by the Shane Company. I'm like, you want to go get something?
He points out the Shane Company, which I always point out every time we drive by there. And I said, oh yeah, that is the Shane Company. And he pulled into the parking lot.
And then I said psych and drove away. And
So that was the third time.
and then we went to the spa and had a spa day where it was couples massage and facial. And
We had a little break before we went to dinner. So here all the fake proposals were happening, and I'm thinking, he might be really doing it, so I need to go get my nails done. So I even ran and got my nails done, and I was so excited and telling my nail lady, I think I'm being proposed to tonight. So he drove me out to dinner.
we have this wonderful view, and you know, I set it up. Still didn't do it. Went to the casino, and we played some blackjack, and then finally on the way home, you could see she's distraught because the days ended, and she's just like, I guess it's not happening today.
And I was waiting and waiting and waiting for it, and it did not happen. So we're driving home, and he can tell I'm upset, but I'm trying not to be ungrateful girlfriend after the wonderful day he gave to me. So I said nothing was wrong several times.
So I'm poking her a little bit more. I'm like, what's wrong, honey? Are you okay? And I know what she's saying.
And he kept pressing, so I finally did tell him I was kind of disappointed that he didn't propose. And then he said to me something that irked me at the time.
And then I tell her to go on the speech and say, you know, I'll never do anything unless I'm ready. If I'm ready, I'll do it. And kind of giving her that speech because I know what's happening later, and she's still, it's kind of feels like it's digging the nails in a little bit more for her. And then
I'm never going to tell you anything I don't really mean and say something to you that I'm not ready for. So that just irritated me more, thinking, well, why aren't you ready for it?
And finally we go home, and on the piano I had a piano, and I don't know how to play the piano, and I learned like the first 15 seconds of our song, and it was really bad, and so I told her to jump on and show me how it's really done, and she starts, so I go into the kitchen, I call her over there, and I open the door, and my niece and nephew, and they had it all set up with candles and rose petals and no rose petals, it was candles. And
the whole backyard was beautiful. It was lit up with candles. There was a heart-shaped candle on the ground, and he had his niece and nephew and their cousin out there with their instruments playing our song.
Streamers around, decorated really pretty, and they started playing our song a little bit better, more professional.
And then he stood me in the middle of the heart and got down on his knee and proposed to me and said a bunch of romantic stuff and cried too, so.
And then there was a big heart in the center, and I got down on my knee and I told her the story, like, she's my best friend and I'm ready for it, and that was the first time I told her I loved her.
So, probably one of the best nights of my life.
What I want to tell Rachel is that she's my best friend, and I love her to death, and we've been through a lot, and, you know, most people probably don't have this much tension, or not tension, but just resistance in the first 2 years, but we've gone through it, we're stronger for it, and I just want her to be my partner in crime, and just to always have my back, and I'll have hers, and just want to be happy with her.
Andre, I just want you to know how excited I am to start my life with you. I have so many wonderful memories over the past couple of years, and I can't wait to have many, many more with you. And I'm not going to cry. And I just think we are going to have all the happiness in the world.